right in thinking that Sonnambula, or what was originally called Night Shadow, was really your first ballet that you ever saw, or the first Balanchine you ever saw?
It was definitely my first Balanchine, and that evening was the first ballet evening I ever experienced. I was 11 years old.
Wow.
So I believe it was Swan Lake. Sounds all right. Gaieté Parisienne, which I did not like at all. I loved the music, but I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, La Sonnambula, I was just like, oh, what is this? I couldn't believe it. I just wanted to quietly ponder it. I loved it. So it's the first ballet I ever liked.
You only saw Danilova do it one time.
That's right.
And did you retain an impression of her in the role? Very specifically, Danilova?
Well, it was more, what have I seen? What was that? What is this music?
As we all know, it was originally called Night Shadow. And then, I guess for your revival, he changed the name. Did he ever tell you, or did anyone ever mention why he made that change? Because it has a very strange effect on the ballet.
Oh, you have to tell me what the effect
Well,
is.
when you read both Danilova's account and Maria Tolchif's account, they both say the same thing, that Mr. B went to Danilova as the prima and said, 2 roles, which would you like to do, the dramatic role or the coquette role? And she, Danilova, said, well, I'm always playing coquettes. I'll do the dramatic role. So Tolchif did the coquette role, and she said, that was good because I always played the dramatic roles. But what you get from that is a sense that the 2 roles were considered more or less equivalent. It was just a question of, do you want strawberries or do you want raspberries with your shortcake? Whereas when you change the title to Sonnambula,
yes,
it focuses the ballet on her. She becomes the point of the ballet. And I wonder if that's...
I never thought of that, but I'm glad you said that, because that...
He must have intended it, because he intended everything that he did. But you have...
But I thought it was that musical... he loved to call his pieces after the piece of music that it was. So I thought it was that. But now that you've said this, I have a totally different view.
You could have called it Baliniana or something.
My preparation for this was just listening to the music at home, preferably after 6 o'clock, and also just in the wings, listening to the music. It made me ready for this. It's just, there's so much in the music that just gets you ready for this.
Yes.
And it's a silent song. Kirinska, this was just like one of those things where Kirinska just made a nightgown with a little puffy sleeve. And I said, oh, Madame Danilova said to make sure the costume has this. And she said, oh, yes. And actually, Danilova had tassels.
Tassels, you see
but
them.
But I didn't know. I went like this, and so I thought it was billowy white chiffon. I was just saying to Janie that this is a really hard part because you have to get your emotions correct. You have to feel these things. And it's changes, abrupt changes, and it has to take place exactly on the music, exactly as the conductor is playing it that day. Whereas it's like Swan Lake is easy. You just are in love the whole time. Or, I mean, but there's no sort of stopping and then going to the next idea and then sensing he's dead, and then also this thing, it's an illusion. You're on point. So it's a sleepwalker who gets out of bed with her point shoes on, and goes for this walk. But also the story, just when I was really young, meant a lot to me because it seemed to be like perhaps it was a secret imprisonment of this woman who could only escape by a very dangerous path out on the roof. And she could only do this when she was asleep. And so somehow to escape this maybe person who was keeping her under
The horrible Baron.
The Baron,
Yes.
who, of course, as we find out, is capable of murder easily. This is her only way of... I thought about grief and loss and regret and sorrow.
Another question I had just watching today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that the girl, sleepwalker, understands what happened
Yes,
between her and the poet when they go off stage after the kiss?
yes. You see, she has these special powers. This is in the day when people have sensory perception and they know, they expect ghosts, they communicate. She knows that, I mean, she knows he's in love with her. She knows she's experiencing love. And that's why actually I said to change the arm a little bit, to put in a little yearning there. And he does follow her. She is totally aware that, and when he gets stabbed, she knows also, but it's not a visual understanding, it's just sort of like, oh, it's like people that know a disaster have taken place, or expect a disaster, or understand that it, so it's that kind of uncanny perception which he has, or she couldn't be doing the sleepwalker thing. This is a sleeping beauty in the Balanchine style. The kiss does not wake her up.